The story opens in the year 2010. CIA agents Matthew and Emily prepare for a dangerous assignment. Their objective is to infiltrate the mansion of a European terrorist named Gore. At the moment, Gore is hosting a birthday party for his 8-year-old son. Their mission is to steal the ICS key, a device that controls the world's critical systems. Before leaving, Emily secretly takes a pregnancy test. Matthew urges her to hurry and get ready. When they arrive at Gore's house, Emily insists that Matthew leave his gun in the car. She reminds him that it is a children's party and that a stray bullet could hurt someone. Their handler, Chuck, informs them that they will pose as French arms dealers. As they enter the party holding hands, Chuck notices the chemistry between them. He says sending them together may have been a mistake. Emily claims they are only acting for the sake of the mission. Chuck responds that if things go wrong, they must be prepared to lie. Inside the house, Emily sprays a chemical onto her hand. When Gore takes her hand and kisses it, his fingerprints are captured. At the same time, his voice is recorded through Emily's watch. Chuck guides them step by step from a remote location. Soon, Matthew and Emily reach Gore's private office. Using the stolen fingerprints and voice data, they unlock the safe. They successfully retrieve the ICS key. The moment the safe opens, a silent alarm is triggered. Guards rush into the room immediately. Matthew and Emily fight back without hesitation and kill all the guards. Afterward, Chuck directs them to a hidden airstrip. There, an MI6 agent named Baron Andrews is waiting for them. Baron is also Gore's former lover and the creator of the jet they will use. Chuck had already warned them not to tell Baron about the ICS key. He clearly states that no one can be trusted. Baron greets Emily warmly and shows obvious affection. However, his behavior toward Matthew is cold and awkward. They exchange a few tense words. It is clear they do not like each other. Soon after, the jet takes off. Believing the mission is nearly over, Matthew suggests celebrating with champagne. Emily refuses the offer. Sensing something is wrong, Matthew asks what she is hiding. Emily finally admits that she is pregnant. She shows several test kits to prove she is certain. Matthew is shocked at first, but quickly becomes happy. He tells her he would gladly start a family with her. As they celebrate the news, Emily suddenly feels nauseous. She rushes toward the restroom. A flight attendant stops her and says the restroom is unavailable. Emily insists that she cannot wait. Matthew finds it strange because the flight is scheduled to last 11 hours. Emily quietly signals Matthew that something is wrong. Without warning, the flight attendant pulls out a gun. She demands that they hand over the ICS key. Matthew throws the key into the air to distract her. Taking advantage of the moment, Emily attacks and grabs the weapon. At the same time, other attackers reveal themselves. A violent fight breaks out inside the plane. During the chaos, the same flight attendant picks up a bullet. She calmly loads it into the gun. Just as he was about to fire, Matthew shoved him aside. The shot missed its target, and the bullet struck the pilot instead. The aircraft immediately began to spin out of control. The flight attendant rushed to grab a parachute and the ICS key. At that exact moment, the plane slammed into a mountain. The villain was violently thrown out of the aircraft. The plane was now moments away from total destruction. If they wanted to live, they had to jump. Matthew placed the last parachute on Emily. He told her to take care of herself and their unborn child. Emily refused to leave him behind. She wrapped her legs around Matthew's waist and pulled the parachute open. They both survived the fall. After landing, they realized they could no longer live normal lives as agents. The explosion was massive, and everyone would assume they died in the crash. Because of this, they decided the safest choice was to disappear. Matthew said that he had no one waiting for him, so leaving was easy. He warned Emily that she would have to stay away from her mother forever. Emily replied that it would not be difficult because they never got along anyway. 15 years later, the story jumps forward. Matthew and Emily are now living a quiet life with their children. Their daughter Elise is hot-tempered and always does what she wants. She rarely listens to her parents. Their son Leo is shy and spends most of his time absorbed in gadgets. On the way to school, Emily asks if they should all watch a movie that night. Elise ignores her and says she is going to study at a friend's house. After dropping the kids off, Matthew and Emily secretly watch them with binoculars. Like detectives, they carefully observe from a distance. Emily notices that Elise is with the same boy again. Matthew feels uncomfortable spying on their own children. He says they should let them live their lives. Emily refuses to stop and points out that they are holding hands. She even claims she saw them kiss. Suddenly, Elise notices them. She angrily asks what they are doing there. Embarrassed at being caught, Matthew and Emily quietly drive away. That night, Emily complains about her daughter. She says Elise never listens to her. She angrily shouts for food and insults how useless teenagers are. While venting, she notices Elise's bag. Inside, the laptop begins receiving repeated messages. Emily tries to resist but eventually picks it up. She attempts to unlock it by guessing the password. Each attempt fails. Matthew arrives and asks what she is doing. He warns her that these actions only make their daughter angrier. Emily says she suspects Elise lied and went went somewhere else instead of studying. Matthew tries to stop her from opening the laptop. At that moment, Emily peels off a small sticker from it. She thinks for a moment and enters the password. "Mom sucks." The laptop unlocks immediately. This deeply angers her. She reads the messages and discovers that Elise plans to attend an event called Chemical Apocalypse. Hearing the name, Leo explains what it is. He says it is a club party. According to him, it involves heavy drug use and alcohol. After hearing this, Emily and Matthew track Elise's phone and make their way to the club. Inside, they spot Elise dancing in the VIP area. Emily walks straight up to her and calls her by name. She orders her to leave and go home immediately. At that moment, a group of boys approaches and begins mocking them. They insult Matthew and call him an old man. The situation worsens when one of the boys grabs Elise's hand to stop her from leaving. This completely enrages Emily. She grabs the boy by the throat and smashes his head against the wall. The rest of the boys rush in to fight. Matthew joins Emily without hesitation. Within minutes, the two of them take down the entire group. They even slam the gang leader to the ground. After the fight, Emily and Matthew realize the whole incident was recorded on a phone. Matthew immediately snatches the device. He deletes the video on the spot. On the drive home, they confess that they tracked Elise using her laptop. As punishment, they ground her and forbid her from leaving the house for several days. Furious, Elise shouts that she will choose a college so far away that she never has to see them again. This causes a heated argument. Elise angrily accuses them of lying. She demands to know how they can fight so well. Emily casually replies that they once took a few taekwondo classes. This response only makes Elise angrier. She yells that a few classes could never make them that skilled. Later, Emily admits to Matthew that she misses her life as an agent. Matthew tells her to stay calm. He reminds her that they gave up everything for their family. Jokingly, they begin reenacting their old training moves and start play fighting. Meanwhile, Elise argues with Leo. She asks why he revealed her location to their parents. Leo denies everything and claims he told them nothing. Deep down, he is secretly happy that his sister got caught. The next morning, their former boss, Chuck, suddenly appears at their house. Matthew is shocked and asks how he found them. Chuck explains that the club fight video went viral online. Emily urges him to come inside quickly. Chuck refuses and says he does not have much time. He gets straight to the point. Chuck reveals that Baron has betrayed them. He says Baron is now working with Gore and searching for them. Chuck adds that since he found them so easily, Gore must already know their location too. Emily is confused and asks what they could possibly want after all these years. Chuck then reveals that the ICS officer was never found in the plane wreckage. Gore believes Emily and Matthew still have the device. Chuck warns them that their house is no longer safe. Suddenly, a sniper bullet hits Chuck directly in the neck. At the same time, several armed men appear outside and open fire. Thankfully, the children are still at school. Emily and Matthew rush inside to take cover. Moments later, they realize the attackers could go after their kids next. Without wasting any time, they sprint toward the garage. They slam the accelerator, sending the car crashing through the garage door and straight into the thug's vehicle. At the same time, Emily and Matthew jumped into another car and sped away. The armed men immediately began chasing them. During the escape, Emily asked how they could prove they did not have the key. Matthew hesitated and asked if she would be angry. He then admitted he had hidden something from her. Emily realized the truth and accused him of taking the key. Matthew explained that he did not want it to fall into the wrong hands. He revealed that he hid the ICS at Emily's mother's place, a secure research facility with heavy protection. As the hired attackers closed in, Matthew improvised. He created a small explosive using Diet Coke and Mentos. He threw it at the pursuing car. The driver lost control and crashed into a truck. Once the danger passed, they rushed to the school and picked up the children. The kids were scared and confused, unable to understand why they were suddenly running. Without offering any explanation, Emily and Matthew drove them straight to the airport. At the airport, the children asked why they were suddenly traveling to England. Emily told them they were going to visit their grandmother. Elise reacted angrily and asked if they even had a grandmother. She accused Emily of lying, saying she had always claimed their grandmother was dead. Matthew stepped in and calmed everyone down. On the plane, Emily considered telling the children the truth. Matthew advised her to wait a few days before explaining everything. The next day, the family arrived in London using fake passports. They boarded a bus headed toward a parking area. Matthew noticed a man getting out of a car and signaled Emily. As they stepped off the bus, Emily deliberately bumped into the man. She smoothly stole his keys and secretly passed them to Matthew. Matthew quickly brought the car around. He told the children he had rented it and urged them to get in quickly. What they did not know was that one of Gore's men was also on the bus. The man secretly reported their location to his boss. Baron also learned about their arrival through the airport surveillance system. He said he had been searching for the ICS for 15 years. He immediately ordered his team to track them down. He instructed his assistant to keep watch on the children, believing they would make a mistake. Inside the car, Emily and Matthew asked the kids for their phones. After taking them, Emily removed and destroyed the SIM cards. Moments later, the car ran out of fuel. Leo complained that he was extremely hungry. They stopped at a nearby gas station. While Matthew refueled the car, he gave the children some money. He told them to go inside and buy something to eat. Inside the shop, the siblings began talking. Elise pointed out that their passports were fake. She started wondering if their parents were criminals. She questioned why they had fled the country with them. Then Elise noticed that Leo's gaming device still had internet access. She mentioned seeing the name Jeffrey Baker on the passport. She tells her brother to find out who the man really is. Leo does some quick research and discovers that a man named Jeffrey Baker died back in 1952. This discovery deepens the children's suspicions about their parents. Outside, Matthew and Emily are deciding what to do next. At the same time, Gore's men arrive at the location. Baron also tracks them down. Matthew and Emily notice the goons surrounding the area. Before they can attack, Matthew ignites fuel from a broken pipe. He uses the flames to drive the enemies back. Emily grabs a weapon and fights alongside him. She attacks the men without hesitation. The children watch in disbelief. They see their parents fighting like secret agents from an action movie. One by one, the enemies are taken down. After the fight, Matthew quickly rushes the children back into the car. Emily notices a thug aiming a gun at them. She slams the car into reverse and speeds away. The children are now completely terrified. Elise demands answers. She asks who those men were and why her parents attacked them. She also asks why someone was trying to shoot at them. At this point, she becomes convinced that her parents are terrorists. Moments later, Baron drives past with his team. When he spots them, he orders the driver to turn around. Before Baron can catch up, Matthew takes action. He breaks the chain holding a cargo truck. Heavy pipes fall onto the road. Matthew then shoots the truck's tires. The truck tips over and blocks the road completely. Baron watches in fury as they escape once again. Inside the car, the children demand the truth. Matthew finally admits everything. He tells them that both he and Emily were CIA agents. He explains that they were spies. Leo is thrilled by the revelation. He excitedly tells his father that he can beat up all the other dads at school. Matthew jokes that he can beat them, just not all at the same time. Elise is impressed by the confession. Emily then scolds the children for using the internet. She asks why they searched for information online. Leo explains that he simply used his gaming device. Hearing this, Matthew grabs the device. He throws it onto the roof of a passing truck. Meanwhile, Baron begins investigating the gas station. He notices a tattoo on one of the dead attackers. The marking confirms the man was working for a white supremacist group. The next morning, Matthew drives the family to Emily's mother's home. Emily has not spoken to her mother in a long time. Matthew tells her that she should talk to her. The children are stunned when they see the massive estate. They ask if their grandmother belongs to a royal family. Emily enters the gate by typing in a password. As soon as they step inside, a gunshot rings out. Their grandmother, Jeannie, is practicing her aim on a bird. This is the first time the children meet her. Emily learns that Matthew has been secretly sending Jeannie photos of the kids for years. Leo politely asks if he can hug his grandmother. Jeannie coldly refuses and tells him they do not do that there. She then orders him to pick up the dead bird. Inside, the mansion looks even more luxurious. Matthew wants to grab the ICS key and leave immediately. Jeannie tells him to wait for a moment. Just then, a man walks in. He is Jeannie's boyfriend, Nigel. In front of everyone, the two start kissing. This leaves the entire family shocked. Matthew awkwardly asks Nigel to show the children around the house. He explains that he needs to speak privately with Jeannie. Meanwhile, Baron tracks the signal from Leo's discarded gaming device. He soon realizes that he has been misled. At the same time, his assistant informs him that the stolen car has been located. The vehicle is traced to a massive mansion. After checking official records, Baron discovers that the mansion belongs to Jeannie. She was once a legendary MI6 agent. Baron explains that searching her property would require special authorization. While reviewing her file, he uncovers a shocking detail. Emily is Jeannie's daughter. Baron keeps this information to himself. Inside the mansion, Nigel is entertaining the children. He proudly shows them his collection of high-tech gadgets. He tells them that he is also training to become a spy. Elise shows no interest and walks outside. Downstairs, Matthew tells Jeannie that he hid the ICS keys somewhere in her house. Hearing this, Jeannie becomes furious. She accuses him of bringing danger into her home. Emily snaps back and calls her mother selfish. She reminds her that she was sent away to America and never truly cared for. Emily says that when she became pregnant, she promised herself she would never raise her children the same way. Jeannie coldly responds that Emily is no better. She claims Emily gets along terribly with her own daughter. She points out that Elise clearly resents her. Deep down, Emily knows her mother may be right. From a distance, Elise overhears the argument. Seeing her mother hurt fills her with guilt. She silently thinks that she has been a terrible daughter. Soon after, Matthew and Emily leave to retrieve the ICS. Elise approaches her grandmother. She tells Jeannie that she does not hate her mother. She firmly asks her never to say that again. Jeannie smiles softly. She explains that no child truly hates their parents. She says children only get angry sometimes. She admits that Emily is a much better mother than she ever was. Suddenly, armed men storm the property. They blow open the gates and flood the compound. Unaware of the attack, Matthew leads Emily to the old wine cellar. This is where he hid the ICS key 15 years earlier. Moments later, they hear helicopters overhead. They immediately realize the house is under attack. They rush back through a side entrance. Inside, they find Jeannie and Nigel tied up. Emily quickly frees her mother. She and Matthew then race to find the children. In the main hall, they come face to face with several armed men. The attackers are holding Leo and Elise at gunpoint. Matthew and Emily realize they cannot overpower so many enemies. To save their children, Matthew surrenders. He admits that they have the ICS key. He promises to hand it over if the children are released. At that moment, a familiar face steps forward. It is Chuck. Matthew and Emily are shocked to see him alive. Chuck explains that Baron was never the villain. He says Baron is actually a good and honorable man. The blood and gunfire they witnessed before were all staged. After the plane crash, Chuck was blamed for the failed mission. His career was destroyed. Now, he has returned for revenge and the ICS key. Chuck takes the key and orders his hacker to verify it. Meanwhile, guards go to check on Jeannie. They are surprised to find her still tied up. Taking advantage of the moment, Jeannie reveals a hidden tranquilizer gun. She calmly begins knocking out the soldiers one by one. As more attackers arrived, Jeannie was forced to fight them using knives and kitchen utensils. During the chaos, Nigel was shot. In another room, the enemies were briefly distracted. Emily and Matthew used this opportunity to attack and eliminate them. However, Chuck and his men kept their guns aimed at the children the entire time. When Matthew and Emily tried to advance, someone struck them from behind. They were knocked unconscious instantly. When they woke up, Jeannie was standing nearby, but it was already too late. Chuck and his men had taken the children. They escaped in a helicopter. Matthew checked the security camera footage. The helicopter's registration number was unclear. Then he noticed something important. In the video, Leo flashed a thumbs up at the camera. Matthew realized Leo was showing his fitness tracker ring. The device could transmit location data. Matthew quickly logged into his account. He traced the signal to an art museum. That night, Matthew and Emily suited up and headed for the museum. Security was extremely tight. They left their weapons outside and sneaked in quietly. Meanwhile, Chuck demanded a massive payment from Gore for the ICS key. This enraged Gore, who felt betrayed. He ordered his men to retrieve the key at any cost. Chuck led the buyers up to the rooftop. He instructed his hacker to shut down all of London's power. The unique ability of the ICS key allowed it to hack any system with ease. Within seconds, the entire city was plunged into darkness. The museum was also affected. Below, Matthew and Emily realized Chuck was showing off the key's power. Emily concluded that Chuck must be on the roof. She pointed out that the rooftop offered a full view of the city. They noticed some of Gore's men entering the elevator. Matthew and Emily quietly joined them. On the rooftop, Chuck proudly boasted about the key. He told his hacker that they could even open the river dam. The dam was normally controlled by the Navy. It protected the city by blocking seawater. As the barrier began to lower, panic spread through Naval Command. Meanwhile, Matthew and Emily reached the top floor. Armed guards stood in their way. They fought fiercely and eliminated every last one. The buyers were amazed by the power of the ICS key. In the end, one man agreed to purchase it for $50 million. At that moment, Baron arrived with his team. Matthew demanded to know how he found them. Baron explained that Matthew and Emily were international fugitives. He said it was his job to track people like them. Emily begged him not to interfere. She reminded him that their children were in danger. Baron replied that he had no intention of arresting them. He admitted he respected the fact that they had kept the key out of the wrong hands. Baron had realized that Chuck was the true mastermind. He offered Matthew and Emily the chance to fight alongside him. Together, they storm into Chuck's auction house. Chuck manages to escape and Matthew and Emily chase after him. At the same time, Baron's men engage in a fierce battle with the armed guards. Chuck orders his team to take the children to a boat. He tells them to leave immediately. Chuck stays behind to buy time. Moments later, Gore's men stop Matthew and Emily. They demand the ICS key. Suddenly, red laser dots appear on the attackers' faces. Jeannie is aiming a weapon at them. Terrified, Gore's men drop their guns. Matthew and Emily seize the attackers' motorcycles. They race toward the dock. Gore's backup team follows closely on their own bikes. To escape, Matthew and Emily split up. Using his expert driving skills, Matthew shakes off his pursuers. Emily knocks her attacker down and jumps onto a speedboat. Matthew soon follows by boat. They close in on Chuck's position. Chuck orders his hacker to secure the key and return to the safe house. Outside, Nigel waits in a truck for Jeannie. He spots the hacker and immediately gives chase. Nigel rams the hacker's car, knocking him unconscious. Nigel grabs the ICS key and contacts Jeannie. Jeannie urgently tells him to shut the barrier. Panicked, Nigel struggles to operate the system. Error messages flash across the screen. At that moment, Matthew and Emily reach Chuck's boat. They leap aboard and throw his men into the water one by one. Nigel finally calms himself and begins closing the barrier carefully. Matthew and Emily realize a collision is about to happen. They quickly put life jackets on the children. They throw them into the water to keep them safe. Together, they confront Chuck. They push him off the boat. At the last second, Matthew and Emily jump into the water. Chuck's boat slams into the barrier. A massive explosion erupts. With the threat finally over, the family is safe. Matthew praises Leo for his quick thinking. Emily holds Elise tightly in relief. Shortly after, Jeannie arrives. Emily embraces her as well. At last, the family is reunited and at peace. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.